It feels like it's been forever, but for this Full Build Friday, we're returning to our roots to remaster yet another build. Disney December got in the way a bit, but we're back on track to bring you the roguish rat, Marrow-Gnawer from Magic the Gathering.
I'm the giant rat that makes all of the rules.
I have to admit, there isn't a lot to this character. There's going to be a good bit of extrapolation when it comes to this build, so let's take a look at what we do have to work with. Marrow-Gnawer is a criminal rat folk of meager means until he rose up and in a single night slew the leaders of 3 other rat folk gangs. He became their lord, reigning over the largest Nezumi gang in the Takanuma swamp, but was forced by another criminal overlord above him to get himself involved in greater affairs. Looking more into mechanical matters, Marrow-Gnawer is a mono-black rat rogue from the Kamigawa set, which is inspired by Japanese aesthetics. He grants the fear keyword to rats, meaning that they can only be blocked by black or artifact creatures, and can also sacrifice a rat to spawn even more. His regular art features him wielding a Kusarigama, and he has 2 power with 3 toughness. In total, Marrow-Gnawer is a feared gang lord who is a better leader than he is a warrior, though he is a capable killer armed with a Kusarigama. He can call forth great masses of rats, and even those simply associated with him are able to inspire terror in others. This build gives us an opportunity to make use of the rat folk ancestry, and with Marrow-Gnawer traditionally dwelling in the swamps, we'll look in somewhere equally damp and fetid for his heritage, the sewer in this case. It just makes him a bit more resistant to diseases and poisons. With MG's fascination on fear, we'll take the Skull Creeper ancestry feat, which will make him trained in intimidation and give him the Intimidating Glare skill feat. He rounds out his ancestry with a boost to dexterity and intelligence, as well as a free boost to strength to counter the flaw that he normally has in it. Marrow-Gnawer has always been part of the gangs in Takanuma Swamp, which leads to the use of the criminal background. This makes him trained in stealth and underworld lore, while also providing him with the experienced smuggler skill feat. He takes its first ability boost to intelligence, and then the free boost to strength, which he will want for his Kusarigama. In my original build for Marrow-Gnawer, I used the rogue class and a spiked chain because the Kusarigama wasn't available as a weapon. It is now, but rogues can make use of it, not even ruffians. In the effort to capture that aspect of the character, because it is a legitimately cool weapon, I switched things up this time and decided to build Marrow-Gnawer as a ranger. He will use a boost to strength here since that Kusarigama lacks the finesse trait, and then gets the usual ranger features, such as hunt prey. Speaking of, he's going to use the Outwit Hunter's Edge as a more skill-focused feature, which will increase his armor class, inspired by his greater toughness, but more importantly, also gives him a bonus on intimidation checks against his hunted prey. None of the feats though feel super appropriate to the character, so he settles on Initiate Warden to take Distracting Decoy, as it could let him conjure up an illusory rat, and that feels like some sort of fit for the character. Rangers are automatically trained in nature and survival, and Marrow-Gnawer will be further trained in acrobatics, athletics, deception, diplomacy, society, and thievery. His 4 ability boosts go to strength, dexterity, constitution, and charisma. He's going to need that strength for the use of his weapon, but charisma will also be very important as well for making use of his intimidation, which is of course based on his ability to spread fear. Furthering our fetid fellow's fear focus, he uses the martial dedication at 2nd level, which will make him an expert in intimidation, and then, rather ironically, grant a bonus on saving throws against fear effects in an aura around him. He also grabs Intimidating Prowess, because this build isn't going to just double down on the aspect of this character. There is a lot of fear stuff packed into it. If you've been looking for a fear-focused build, this is going to be a great one for you. 3rd level kicks off with the Ranger becoming an expert in will saves, and MG here increasing his stealth to expert. He takes Adopted Ancestry for the Hobgoblin, not for any story reasons, but because this will give us even greater means to explore his sincere service to scares. However, he isn't really a commander thus far, not really a leader of rats. We can take a step towards fixing that at level 4 with the Dread Martial Stance, giving him a stance to enhance the damage of his allies, but more importantly, causing their critical hits to frighten enemies. Honestly, this is our best bet for representing the fear that he grants to his ratty allies. After that, we'll use group coercion for a skill feat, letting him coerce an entire gang into listening to his commands, especially as he increases his intimidation skill. With MG's 5th level, he starts off with a boost to Strength, Constitution, Wisdom, and Charisma. He'll get Ranger Weapon Expertise, which gives him crit effects on his hunted prey, and then Trackless Journey, to move without leaving a trail. Finally, he increases his Athletics to Expert, largely to take advantage of the traits on his Kusarigama. However, the real juicy bit for our rascally rodent here is Remorseless Lash, a hobgoblin feat that allows him to keep a creature frightened as long as he can keep hitting it with melee weapon strikes. Largely for the sake of getting 2 feats into this archetype, Marrow-Gnawer takes Cadence Call as a 6th level class feat. This is an interesting feat, with the quickened 1 for 1 round only to be slowed the next round. I think its main use is just for setting up for tactical cadence, but maybe you can find a way to make it work. Also, he gains Titan Wrestler, which just follows on from that increase to athletics, and will let him disarm or trip larger creatures, which may be important given his small stature. 7th level comes with Natural Reflexes, Weapon Specialization, and Perception Mastery for MG. It also comes with a skill increase, and, in accordance with the intimidation infatuation of our infamous interloper, he'll become a master in it. He then takes Toughness since, again, the toughness of his card is a tiny bit higher than that of his power. We have quite a bit packed into 8th level, as MG can use it for a rogue dedication, supplying him with surprise attack, training in medicine and occultism, and then also gives him the Battle Cry skill feat, so that he can demoralize a creature before they even get a chance to act. With his actual skill feat, he picks up Streetwise, which maybe he should have taken earlier, but it otherwise fits in with his job as a gang leader and gang member. The Nature's Edge class feature at 9th level is handy, given Marrow-Gnawer's favorite swamp home. He also gets Ranger Expertise, and becomes a master in Stealth with his skill increase. For more fear-focused features, he picks out Agonizing Rebuke. This is another feat that comes from his adopted ancestry, and allows him to inflict ongoing mental damage as long as he has a creature frightened by Demoralize. MG can start properly exploring his rogue archetype at 10th level, but before he does, he gets ability boost to Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, and Charisma. After that, he uses basic trickery to grab You're Next, just diving deeper into the dreadful details. Case in point, he takes Terrified Retreat as a skill feat to send foes running for the hills when he nails that intimidation check. Medium Armor Expertise and Warden's Endurance are pretty standard effects at 11th level, and Unimpeded Journey has a little bit more pizzazz to it, letting him wade through his marshy home with ease. He'll increase athletics this time with his skill increase, and then grab Incredible Initiative with the hopes of getting more use out of Surprise Attack, and acting first within the fight. This could also be important for taking advantage of Battle Cry. With Advanced Trickery at 12th level, MG can grab Dread Striker, which really starts tying things together, making any creature that is frightened also off guard to Marrow-Gnawer, and leaving them with at least a -3 to their armor class. He also finally grabs Swift Sneak, letting him gain further advantage of his swampy shelter to maneuver about in. Our sinister Swamp Stalking Soldier slips in Martial Weapon Mastery from his class at 13th level, which also features a skill increase that will go to Society and make him an expert in it. Ratspeak serves as his ancestry feat here, solely because it is important to another feat that he wants. Now this might come as a bit of surprise, but Ranger actually does have some intimidation abilities in its arsenal, such as Dazzling Display. This allows him to demoralize an entire crowd of enemies as a single action, which is a nifty little effect. His skill feat will be Leverage Connections, letting him make use of the criminal gangs that he's taken over with his Streetwise feat. The 15th level of our furry fearsome foe features ability boost to Strength, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. This increase to Intelligence will make him train in crafting, while a skill increase means that he'll become a legend in Intimidation. He gains greater natural reflexes as well as greater weapon specialization, and rounds out his class features with legendary proficiency in Perception. We'll use Fleet as his general feat, increasing his speed to get more use out of his Swift Sneak. Another fear-facing option for the Ranger is Eerie Environs, which we'll take at 16th level. Now, this is a fun one, letting MG demoralize a creature while remaining hidden before he springs out of hiding. Naturally, his skill feat will be Scared to Death. I've been holding off on taking it lately, but this is a terror-themed build. There was no way I wasn't using it for this character. The Masterful Hunter class feature at 17th level leads to an increase in MG's class DC, but also improves his Hunter's Edge, doubling all the numerical bonuses that it provides, meaning that he now has a +4 on Intimidation against his hunted prey. A skill increase here makes him a legend in stealth, and then he grabs Call the Swarm. This requires rat speak, which is why we took it earlier, and it allows Marrow-Gnawer to call forth a great swarm of rats that bite at foes and then continue to swarm the area, all without any saving throws. It's probably the closest we're going to get to his ability to create rats, but it certainly isn't a shabby one. Covering more of his aspects as a leader though, MG can take Tactical Cadence at level 18, building out of Cadence Call as I mentioned earlier. You could also look at Eerie Traces for more fear stuff, but that one just doesn't quite feel like it fits right to me. His skill feat will take advantage of his legendary stealth with, kind of obviously, legendary sneak. This is just handy for letting him disappear and pull off eerie environs, even when he doesn't have the cover to actually do it. We see MG receive medium armor mastery and swift prey at 19th level, along with an increase to athletics that makes him a legend in it. For his general feat, we'll actually take a skill feat in the form of Quiet Allies, playing into his role as a leader but also on his ability to sneak by blockers, thanks to his abilities. Finally, to begin the end of this build, we'll take ability boost to Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, and Wisdom, which does lead to him becoming trained in Religion, leaving him with only 2 skills that he is not trained in. Unlike the last ranger we built, we will actually use a capstone feat here with the Time Dilation Cascade. There's nothing in the feat that says this has to be done with a weapon each hand, so this will just let MG go wild with the Kusarigama and make 6 strikes with it. His final skill feat will be Underground Network, letting him use his network of Nezumi rogues to swiftly gather information, particularly when it comes to underworld lore. If you're looking at taking Marrow-Gnawer into a free Archetype game, you can absolutely look at expanding his current options, but there's also some new ones. Stuff like Skill Mastery from the Rogue would be great, while To Battle and Topple Foe from the Marshal are equally fun. However, another option is to take yet another multi-class archetype with the Fighter Dedication, and then delve into feats such as Intimidating Strike and Fearsome Brute to make the most out of the menace Marrow-Gnawer manages. That covers the build for our Rattus, so let's review what we've concocted in the lab for this rat. Marrow-Gnawer is a sewer ratfolk ranger with the Outwit Hunter's Edge and the criminal background, which doesn't quite cover his command over a number of united Nezumi gangs. He's a capable slayer and killer who debilitates foes with fear before closing in for the kill. While a ranger, he does make use of the Rogue Dedication, along with a number of its feats, and outside of his vast array of fear-focused feats and features, picks up the Dread Martial stance, so that he can imbue the strikes of his squad with fear, like the keyword that he shares among rats. He's a little lacking in sacrificial abilities, but through Rat Speak and Call the Swarm, he can call forth great swarms of rats to harass and tear apart his adversaries. He wields his Kusarigama with terrible effectiveness, and invests a bit more into things such as toughness and the Outwit Edge to cover his higher toughness rather than a focus on power. A mastermind of menace, this mammalian major makes the most of his maligned merit, managing marauders to mash and mangle malcontents that might match his magnitude, making their meager melees moot. That's another remaster build in the bag. Normally, we would vote on the next one, but I've had a couple people reach out to me about a particular build, and it's gotten to the point where she is getting bumped up on the list. Until then, please let me know what you think of this build and what other sorts of builds you'd like to see in a comment. You can check out item suggestions and character sheets for this build, and other builds I've done, over on the Monster Monday blog, which is linked below along with the Twitter and Discord. Thanks for watching, and have a fantastic Friday.
I said this was a great day, but let me correct that! It's a glorious day!